Okay, so welcome to our episode six of the Scientist Podcast, and today is our special episode. We have Dr. NILUTPAL Mahanta, who is my friend, and who has a plethora of experience. He has published many research papers, and also he did PhD from Guwahati. And so today we are going to talk about something very, very different and importance of science in conservation, and what is the need of this in India. And before we give our platform to NILUTPAL, please like, subscribe, and share our channel. We are 74 people, but we want to get 100 as soon as possible. So, Nilutpal, thank you so much for joining us. Tell me about your journey. How are you?
Hi, Abhilash. Thank you for having me into your program and into your discussion. So, I'm really happy and I'm really glad that you really want to know about Northeast India and conservations happening here. And because it's a far easternmost part in India, so many people do not know about our this region. So I have been working with wildlife and wildlife conservation in this area since last almost 12 years. And I have worked on grasslands and I have worked on raptors and also with human elephant conflict. These are some of the works that I have been doing.
That's cool. And you did your PhD from Guwahati. So
Yes.
what was your PhD about?
Okay, so I worked on swamp francolin. So basically, the scientific name of swamp francolin is Ortigornis cularis.
Okay.
Earlier, it was under the genus of Francolinus. Right now, as of now, it is Ortigornis cularis. So basically, I wanted to know how this bird is coping up in grasslands outside protected area. Because in protected area, species are always protected, like national parks and wildlife sanctuary. People, there are forest guards, there are other people who protect them. But outside protected area, these grasslands are very important. So I want to just know like how these animals are thriving there, this bird especially. So I then studied some of the unprotected grasslands in Northeast India, and I found very interesting facts that in last 30 years in Northeast India, in Assam especially, 70% of the grasslands outside protected area have been lost. So that means people are very negligent about grasslands, and people think grasslands to be fallow lands. They can chop it and they can do cultivation in those areas. And these are some of the very interesting findings. And also, I found very interesting that my focus species, the swamp francolin, is very sensitive to many human elements like human presence, like also at the same time they are dependent on climatic factors like temperature, like rainfall. So even like some amount of rainfall is required for the species even in the winters. In winters the rain doesn't happen, but this species requires some amount of rainfall even in the winters because they are resident of swampy areas. So without rain, the swampiness of those grasslands cannot be maintained. That is one of the reason. And also, I found it a very interesting fact about swamp francolin that they do not normally what happens in case of birds which lay eggs on the ground. Basically, those species are called as scrape nesters.
Okay.
Like they lay eggs on the ground. They make their nest on the ground. So you must have seen many scrape nesters. They lay eggs which are camouflage in nature. So they cannot be been seen properly without proper observation. But this swamp francolin, they lay eggs which are brown in color. And I during that time I could not do any molecular study, but I could relate this to a particular study in Japan. They found that this brown color in eggs, this has a molecule called as the brown protoporphyrin. This protoporphyrin basically helps these eggs to remain away from contamination. So this was one of the reasons because swamp francolin lay eggs in swampy areas which are open for much of the contaminations. And this particular molecule in their eggshells basically helps them to survive in swampy areas which are full with contaminations.
Mm.
So there are many findings which are very interesting, and I spent around 4 5 years studying this species, their sound patterns, their call patterns, and all these are very interesting actually. And I think grassland is one of the areas which needs to be protected. It's not only forest, it's not only big animals, but at the same time we need to focus on smaller animals which are equally important for our biodiversity as a whole.
Um, so Nilutpal, just to like ask this question, like I know it can be a very naive one, but why do we need to like why do we need to, protect our grasslands? Like, what is it so special about grasslands that we need to protect? Why are we not doing more agriculture on grasslands, right?
Okay.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. So answering to that question, this is one of very favorite parts actually. When I'm talking about grasslands, I'm talking about the grasslands of Brahmaputra floodplain.
Yeah.
So Brahmaputra floodplain is a flood-prone area. First thing. Second thing is that you must have seen in news and all everywhere during monsoon season, Assam gets a lot of flood.
Mm.
Now, and Brahmaputra is world's biggest braided river. Basically, it brings a lot of sediments and it makes a lot of islands. And this is a kind of river which keeps on changing its course. Now, these grasslands have a very interesting property that their roots penetrate to their ground to a quite a long distances. Now, this root network binds this soil very and it keeps the soil intact. Now, if you uproot this grasses and you if you do that, you basically loosen the soil, first thing. And if that happens, basically the river gets more chances to break the soil and soil erosion can happen a lot. Now, if you remove the grasses, and one more thing, how these grasses basically survive this flood actually is that this root network never dies. If it is a forest, if the area remains inundated in water for almost a month or two, the tree might die because of waterlogging, but this grassland doesn't die. And
Mm.
eventually, what happens when the flood recedes, the grasslands grows again. So basically, these grasslands protect the land, you can say. They keep the land intact. That is why we need to protect these grasslands, especially on the alluvial floodplains of Assam.
And why are you saying that we need to protect them? Are they not already protected? Like, is it something happening? Like, is there any erosion already? Like any, human or animal activity that's causing problems in the grasslands?
Yes, it's actually happening. As I'm saying this, basically, when human settlements are expanding
Hmm.
outside protected area, what I'm saying.
Hmm.
So when human population is expanding, they are venturing into new areas. So
Hmm.
people are converting these grasslands into agricultural lands. And when I'm saying this, basically outside protected area means outside national parks and wildlife sanctuaries. Now entire floodplain cannot be protected as a national park or a wildlife sanctuary. So
Hmm.
there are only small patches of the entire grassland patch which is protected as a national park. If I take the example of Kaziranga, you can
Hmm.
say Kaziranga is a national park and it's a protected area.
Hmm.
But again, I can talk about Manas National Park, which is not in Brahmaputra floodplain, but still it is a grassland area.
Hmm.
Then Nameri is there. So some of the patches are protected, but out majority of the patches of the grasslands are outside the protected area. So
Hmm.
that is one of the reason why they are not protected.
And do you think that it can go the mangroves route? Because that the same thing happened with mangroves as well, right? So
Yes.
wherever they were protected, they are protected. But wherever, they were out of the protection of like of whatever, a national park or any biodiversity park, people started
Mhm.
like, just removing them and, creating buildings around them. Do you see that happening with the grasslands as well?
So Mrityunjay, you gave me a very beautiful perspective here. People know what the role of mangroves in ocean conditions, in sea conditions. So basically, they know that they basically protect the soil, and
Hmm.
whenever there's a high tide or whenever there are undulations in the water levels, so basically the mangroves protect the surrounding the nearby areas, right? So it
Hmm.
basically reduces the forces of the water.
Hmm.
The same thing in case of freshwater condition, in case of riverine condition, the same thing is done by grasslands here.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that is why, I'll tell you something very interesting. People many times often ask me about Kaziranga. During the flood, a lot of animals dies in Kaziranga. Why we can't stop the flood happening in Kaziranga?
Hmm.
So I tell them one thing that flood is the soul for Kaziranga. If Kaziranga does not get flooded, it will get converted into an woodland.
Oh, that's
So
a really interesting perspective though, right?
yeah.
Uh,
So basically, like the tree saplings, those are those which comes up, and grassland is in an intermediate state of succession, right?
hmm,
Yeah.
So if the flood happens, basically if the water remains for some time, it basically kills the tree saplings.
hmm,
But the grassland survives.
hmm.
First thing. And second thing, these grasslands are home to many grassland species like the great Indian rhino, the Asian swamp deer.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got the buffalo, Asian water buffalo, elephants. So many herbivore animals are there, which are and great herbivore animals. These are dependent on these grasslands. We need to protect them actually.
I think that's really cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's a very interesting point of view as well, K. Obviously, you need to protect the grasslands because the herbivorous, animals are dependent on them. And obviously, like, if the grassland is not there, they may not have anything to eat, I guess, right? And obviously, that again is a bigger danger. And obviously, we live in Oh, is it? I don't know what's the term for that, but there is some sort of an extinction going on, right? Where, we are losing animals every year.
Yeah,
I don't remember the exact term for it. Uh,
but you can say it's an effect of Anthropocene, like different geological time scales. So Anthropocene we are facing right now.
mm-hmm,
So it's an era of humans, and we are losing more and more animals in this Anthropocene.
Yep.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
Oh,
And you know about this flood, grasslands, grassland species, these are all interconnected. It's a cascade, you can say. If
mm-hmm,
you need to protect one, you need to have all of them. And
mm-hmm,
that is one of the reason if people are chopping down this grassland, that is one of the reason why human elephant conflict is happening in Northeast India.
mm-hmm,
These elephants, they come down all the way from the hill. Elephants require a lot of huge home range. So
mm-hmm,
this all these elephants, they keep on roaming in a huge area,
mm-hmm,
and they take a circular path. You can say is a closed path. It's not a one point starting and one point end. It's a continuously closed pathway. So basically, if you convert one grassland to a paddy field or something, which once upon a time they were dependent on these grasslands for their food,
yeah,
now this grassland is being converted to paddy, and definitely they will go to the paddy and they will love our rices, right?
yeah, yeah.
These are like fast food for them, like in case of humans.
And I'm assuming like for us, hey, this is a paddy field. This is a land for Nilutpal. This is for Avilash. This is for Mrityunjay. But for elements, hey, for elephants, this is hey, I had my grasslands here. I don't have them right now. So whatever I'm
Yeah.
going to get here, I will eat. Right? Maybe this is
Yeah.
what is happening in human animal
Yes.
conflict.
Yes. And
they
Yeah.
might eat a Bilash if they want.
Hey, but they're herbivores, okay?
No, no, I know. So Nilutpal, so these are like brilliant perspective. One of the questions or like one of the things that we wanted to ask you, very specific. So there are some things that NGOs do, okay,
yeah.
and there are some things that people or society wants to do for conservation. Now, what is the role
Mhm.
of science as a scientist who wants to propose a hypothesis, and there's a research, there's a discussion, and there's a result. So, in that frame, where is the wildlife conservation in India? Like, what is going on in that sense? Like, from a scientist perspective, how people are approaching
Mhm. Like you're asking about Northeast or as a whole in India?
Northeast. Let's talk about Northeast.
Yeah. So, like in terms of wildlife conservation and wildlife studies and wildlife research, Northeast India has huge potential. I'm saying huge potential because many other many other theories which can be so well explained in Northeast India, which you will not get anywhere else. But the thing is that here the focus is very less right now. There are two things. One is that our grassroots level organization, grassroots level workers are very less. Researcher from our own land are very less. People from outside are doing a lot of research here, but still we need a lot of people from our local areas, from our states here. I'm not saying local, but our states from Northeast India they need to come up because still people here they don't know many people they do not know that something called wildlife research is also there. I'm telling you why Northeast India is important in terms of wildlife research. Yeah, Avilash, you might remember when we were attending this 10 years ago, we were attending this SERB
Yeah.
avian biology school together.
Yeah.
So, professor from Secon, he was explaining us about biogeography. So, do you remember something called the Garo Rajmahal gap?
Yeah, yeah.
This is one of my favorite thing in Northeast when you talk about Northeast India wildlife. So once upon a time, the wildlife corridor was so continuous from Western Ghat to Northeast India via this Garo Rajmahal gap. So basically, right now it's a gap. Earlier, it was a the Rajmahal Hills and Garo Hills. Rajmahal Hills in Orissa area and Garo Hills. So they were connected. But as the tectonic plate movement happened and all these changes happened, basically this connectivity got lost, and eventually the speciation happened here, and that is why we get many species which are very similar in Western Ghat and Northeast India. So if you want to understand, like if you look at the species like Malayan giant squirrel and Malabo giant squirrel, they look similar, just there's a little difference in the color. Then Oriental pied hornbill and Malabar pied hornbill. Then, and great hornbill, as it can fly to long distances, great hornbill is found in Western Ghats and directly in Northeast India, not anywhere else in the other central parts of India.
Oh,
Then you get this Indian peafowl, rest of India. In Manipur, we get green peafowl. So many species are there which need real attention, and also we need more people. I feel somewhere the effort that has been put in studying Northeast India is very less. And you know there were many problems once upon a time in Northeast India, like the connectivity was very less once upon a time. Now road connectivity is very well. Earlier, direct flights were not there to many parts of Northeast India, and now I think scope is there, and that's why many new researchers are coming from outside Northeast India to Northeast here. But I believe, you know, somewhere to understand your local areas, you need some feeling also. You need to be emotional also about the species, about the area.
absolutely.
Sometimes to get the emotion, you need to be very connected to the place.
100%.
Hmm.
100%. I think that you hit the nail on the head because, of course, we need people from all around the world to study that,
Yeah,
but we need more and more people local from there because they understand the area. Also, they
yes.
can stand well. They can do long-term studies pretty well.
Yeah, that's what.
Anyone
You
who
know,
is
like so,
outside.
exactly. Somebody, if some one person is coming from some other place, he will do the research, and many people stay back, but many people go back to come after completing the study. So either he has to train locals here, like there are examples here, like in case of Eagle Nest Wildlife Sanctuary. Professor Ramanna Atharya from South India. So he came here. He studied Bugunleo Chikla in Eagle Nest Wildlife Sanctuary. He trained entire community about conserving wildlife, and now that's a huge conservation story. So those kind of results are there we can see, and those are motivations we get. But still, I think somewhere our local students also need to get they need to groom up themselves to become a wildlife biologist.
That's nice. Mrityunjay, what do you think?
I mean, what I think is that we also need people who can do active research in grasslands, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
And obviously, not only like I know that there is a very important impact of having zoologists and them going in and doing this research, but I also feel that there needs to be we in India right now we are having this outburst of lots of startups, right? But everyone is creating or having a startup in in on internet. We
yeah.
need people
Okay.
who can do startups on land as well, especially around grasslands, right? If we can
true,
learn, I
true,
think what I have seen, like again, like how I see this world is that wherever there is economic activity, right, you have the ups and downs, right? You have the positives and the negatives. But what I feel is that if there is economic activity around grasslands, there is going to be a lot of conservation as well, right? But
true.
obviously there needs to be people who can teach them about, hey, why it is important and why do we have to do this to save like an overall ecosystem, right? We are proud of, and again, we are very proud of Kaziranga, right, or Manas.
Yeah,
So we are very proud of all the wildlife species that is available in abundance in these areas, but we also then need to make sure that they exist, right? Because
true.
yes,
Yeah,
they are important for your wildlife ecosystem, but I also know that I also feel that there is a lot of economic activity around Kaziranga, right? A lot of
yeah,
people get to have a lot of jobs because of these species,
true.
right? And so we need to think from both the point of view, right? From a scientific point of view, but from an economic point of view as well. And very like sustainable economic point of view, not, not like, hey, let's just like build
No.
hotels
So
everywhere.
about the economy, one of the question is, wildlife research is expensive. Why? Because you need to travel a lot,
Hmm.
and the
Yeah.
gears you need. And suppose you are working on a very conserved species that are like only few. So if you have to find them, you have to click pictures of them. You have to go to the next nesting site. All gears are very very expensive. So how do you sustain
True.
all the economic problems that wildlife researchers face? And is there government or private funding, or most of them are run by self-funded NGOs? How does it happen?
So, about like other organizations, I'll definitely explain that also. But about if I say about myself, so studying wildlife is a kind of passion for me, right now also. So I always find a way to earn money, and I do my passion, do follow my passion also at the same time. I'll tell you something very interesting. During my PhD, so I used to get a funding from central government of India, but there are times, in case of government fundings, there are times when you don't get money also.
For 6 months.
So many times it becomes very hard to sustain those studies. So uh, I used to work as a tour guide.
Okay.
I collaborated with this Swiss company. It's called Vanilla Tiger. So I used to run their tours here in Northeast India. Wildlife tours are very pretty well, good jobs, I'm telling you. Like they pay you more than a professor gets per day. Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm telling you.
if I don't find a job, I can be a
No, I'll tell you, Abhilash, and I think that that's a really cool point because I remember I went to Jim Corbett National Park, right? And I think we were in the Jeep, and the guide who was with us, he had like a master's, right? In some sort, I think he had a master's in geology only. And obviously, I asked a lot of questions, and the overall journey, because see, a lot of times when you go to places like Jim Corbett, a lot of people are like, hey, where is the tiger, right? But for
Yeah,
us, and the guy, so the guide, he sets the expectation in the beginning, guys. You are in the forest, enjoy the forest, and I'll make sure that you know what is happening. So and just extending what Nilutpal was saying, that when you have an experienced guide with a lot of knowledge, right? So the forest, then, it's not just about one species of animal, right? Then the forest
yes,
becomes about, different animals, their background, their history, then obviously different trees, different plants that are there, their, properties, how it is used by, certain indigenous
yeah.
people, certain corporates. And that's why I feel that what Nilutpal is saying, that it should be the way. I feel that
So that is one of my ways of doing it. So
Mhm.
then I'm talking about NGOs here.
Hmm.
So they get a lot of fundings from like foreign fundings are also there,
Mhm.
and many international organizations are funding here.
Mhm.
I remember Chester Zoo,
Mhm.
then IFOA, then Rufford is there, and many other US Fish and Wildlife Service,
Mhm.
MBJ, then many other funding sources are they are funding many good research works here in Northeast India.
Mhm.
So these NGOs, they basically they either they are dependent on donations, and also they get good amount of fundings here.
Mhm. Cool. So, sorry, Abhilash, before you go in, I wanted to, Nilutpal, because so I was reading some of your research, and one of the papers that you've just published is about this water monitor predation
Yeah,
hog deer axis, right? And there is this wonderful picture that you guys have published, which is about, water monitor, obviously preying on a hog deer fawn, right?
yeah,
So what I wanted to understand, like, why are these, observations so important, right? Because again, like, as someone who's in the field, maybe they are important to you, but someone who's a layman, why it is
yeah.
like how these are important. So that's one. And second question is from your paper from 2018, where you have found a couple of first record of Limnodromus colopacus and Calidris
Colopicius.
ferruginea, right? Why, why finding these two birds was so important, and wonderful pictures, by the way, in both the papers.
Thank
Uh,
you.
those who don't know, he has his
Yes.
own website where he puts his pictures. So
Yeah,
we'll
we'll put his website in the description as well. Yeah.
Sure. I'd love to.
Yeah.
So answering to your first question, when if I ask you a question,
Hmm.
predators for deers, what comes to your mind?
uh,
Oh, yeah, yeah, tigers. Tigers.
Definitely
Yeah.
tiger or a
Yeah.
leopard. Can you
Or
think a monitor lizard as a predator for a deer?
yeah, 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 yeah,
So
yeah.
it changes entire narrative, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not a mammal first thing. So tiger is a mammal
Uh-huh.
and deer is a mammal. So
Mm-hmm.
when you talk about predation, so it comes always the mammals comes to your mind, either a
Mm-hmm.
leopard or a leopard cat or maybe a jungle cat or
Mm-hmm.
maybe like dogs like wild dogs. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and in case of Western India, you might talk about hyenas,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes you might talk about jackals. So all of them are mammals,
Mm-hmm.
but a reptile predating on a deer that is also in a grassland habitat. I'm not talking about Masai Mara. You might get Masai Mara crocodiles being predating on wildebeest, but
Yeah.
this is a grassland area, and you just think about, and when we saw this was a very interesting. Like even the mother deer was very near to it, and it was trying to chase away the monitor lizard,
Mm-hmm.
and it was giving us a distress call, and that was very interesting. And when you hear a distress call in Kaziranga, you definitely look for a tiger.
Mm-hmm.
Distress calls are connected to tiger, so it
Mm-hmm.
basically gives you two things. One is distress call is not only for tigers,
Mm-hmm.
it may also for a monitor lizard, and basically that only happened there.
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically a changing entire narrative, that
Yeah.
even the monitor lizard can be predators, first thing. And second, your this long-billed dovecur. The long-billed dovecur is not found in basically it's not a common species to be found in India.
Mm-hmm.
It's from Northern Americas. So
Mm-hmm.
we get Asian dovecur here, and this long-billed dovecur. And when I was looking at the basically that was my routine survey in my PhD during my PhD time. And during the survey, I found pelican very near to where I was standing. I took a picture. I came back home and I saw a unique bird in the frame. I went back again the next day. I tried to find the bird, and it took me around 13 days to find this particular bird. So I saw it only once in the photograph.
Oh.
Then when I found it, I thought it to be Asian dovecur, which is not common, but it's not a rare or a new to be in the area. Then when I took back the photograph, I saw something very unusual, that the lateral angle of these two birds are different. The lateral angle is basically the angle between your bill and the eyes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if I had to look at the lateral angle of Asian dovecur, it is quite bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the long-billed dovecur's lateral angle, it's more acute, more smaller.
Mm-hmm.
That is one of the very interesting find, and I use that way of identifying because in photographs they look similar. And
Mm-hmm.
again, talking about curlew sandpipers are normally maritime species. They are marine species. They are found in only in brackish water. But
Mm-hmm.
finding curlew sandpiper in fresh waters are also unique.
Oh,
So that's add to more interesting findings.
that's I
So
think.
that tells basically how much Northeast India is yet to be studied.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Do you have like any scary wildlife stories because you traveled across the Northeast?
Yeah.
Did you encounter
I
something like?
was I was working on a elephant project. It's called the Assam Hathi project.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So basically, we were trying to change the behavior of elephants, which generally comes out to the village areas during the night time.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, and changing behavior is not a one-day job. It's not a simple thing. So we were basically installing solar-powered fences in the fringe areas,
Mm-hmm.
so that it basically acts as an elephant deterrent. It does not have much of current, but the voltage is very high. That's why, and when elephant touches the cables, they get deterred. So basically, they return back. So, those are very remote areas, and we most of the time, it's a very recent story, like 2, 3 years back. So, those interior areas, remote areas, they does not have electricity. So basically, these fences are dependent on solar. And we had a team of people who always used to go on inspection that the fence is properly working or not. Because those areas,
Hmm.
they have such certain elephants which generally has a habit of coming out to the villages and do nuisances there. So one fine evening, I was on an inspection with one of my fellow villager, and we were like inside the like we were on the boundary of the forest and the village, and then we could hear a certain kind of electric sound, like it's coming from the ground. So we saw that one fence was touching the ground. So if the fence touches the ground, it basically neutralizes the entire current. Okay. So now the fence doesn't have current. So that means that if the elephant is just 100 meter away from us, it will not get the like even it touches the wire also, it will not get deterred.
Hmm.
Now when I came to know this fact, I was like I was in shock. Like elephants when like especially the elephants which doesn't have a tusk, male elephant without a tusk, they are very actually ferocious. During
Oh,
breeding season, they do not get partners to mate with. So
yeah.
basically, that is why they get very angry and they remain very ferocious, and they are the main culprits of human elephant conflicts. So
Oh.
now the thing is that when I said to my fellow villager that current is not there, he said me one thing, Dada, we know current is not there. The elephant doesn't know that the current is not there. I said,
Oh my God.
at that moment, like I could not understand like what to feel. One way I'm feeling very nervous because it's my first time something is happening like that.
Yeah.
And I call another villager that to check the power station there, and he said like we are changing the battery in a moment.
Hmm.
So he was changing, and in the moment we had a voltmeter to check the cable if the current is there or not. So
Hmm.
in a moment I was checking the current, and suddenly there was a mother and a calf. It just maybe 20 meters away from us,
Yeah.
and it was evening hours, so light was very dark. It was very dark,
Yeah.
and it basically chased towards us, and we ran like
Oh my
anything.
God. Yeah.
Like it was forest one side. It was full of what to say shrubby vegetations, and that is also lantana. It has those spines and all. And I ended up in a river which is halfway dry, and my one leg gets stuck in the mud, and one leg was outside the mud. And I could basically see the calf and the mother. It was
Oh.
just maybe 50, 60 meters away from us. And then I somehow took out my leg from the mud, and my this slipper was inside the mud only. It remained inside the mud. And I was in slipper because it was very near to my station. That
Yeah.
is why I suggest all the newcomers to wear shoes in the field. And then
Yeah, if you don't want to get run over by an elephant, wear shoes.
yes, 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 yes. And thankfully, the elephant didn't came towards us. So
Oh.
it thought might be there might be current. And in the moment, like as I telephoned the villages, so many people came. So we had high power torches. So we like light the torches. So the elephant went inside.
Okay.
That day was like a horrible day for me. Like what to feel, and even now when I'm saying the story, I'm feeling the same thing. Like what to feel. A nervousness was there, and that person was saying that we know that current is not there, and elephant doesn't know the current. And so that narrative was really funny.
I think that's an incredible story. So I think we have been here since half an hour. So Mrityunjay, any last thoughts? Any last comments to
Last thoughts, listen, man, I really, a little envious, not really, that you are in the field amongst the wildlife, enjoying what you are doing, right? And obviously, really happy to, meet people like yourself who give, a different perspective as well in terms of, because again, like as someone who's not a wildlife researcher, I would have never known that, a distress call can be not just for tigers, but also for, for all these, water monitors. But yeah, like wonderful to talk to you today, Nilutpal, and more power to you, whatever you are doing, in terms of conservation, in terms of awareness, and also your own research. Keep finding these wonderful images and pictures, and keep discovering. I think you are actually doing the real discovery of India, I would say. uh,
Oh, that's huge for me.
yeah, 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 and yeah, good luck with everything, man.
So whenever we end our episode, we ask our guest to say one thing in their local language. So
Hmm.
I know you
Okay.
are some, so maybe Assamese or whatever your actual native language is, because Assamese is not only single, there are many languages there. So I want you to say any researcher, wildlife researcher who is in Northeast India, say something positive to them, because like what to do in wildlife research in your own language.
Okay, Avilash. So I would say that the same thing in even in Hindi and English also. I'll say that the same thing in Assamese.
Yeah, sure.
It's not about only wildlife research. When you love something from the core of your heart, no, money cannot be a reason of hindrance. So money cannot stop you to do that. So many people give a excuse that I don't have funding, I don't have money. I know like some research they require money and they require a lot of funds. But if you love from the core of your heart, the way comes out, I believe, and it has been happening for me since a long time. And
Hmm.
if I say like I've already said it in English, so to say that in Assamese, যি কৰি ভাল পোৱা মনৰ পৰা সেইটো কৰি যাব লাগে বেলেগ চিন্তা কৰিব নালাগে ৰাস্তা ওলাই যাব
क्या बात है. I understood. I understood. दिल लगाओगे रास्ता मिल जाएगा तुम्हें.
yes yes yes
No, so that was really amazing. How was your experience here talking to us?
I like what words will be very less to express my feeling actually. I am feeling like I've definitely half an hour is a very less time, but I think I could express a lot. And if my words can impact or something, even 1% also in somebody who is sitting or who is not aware of Northeast India, if a single impact is also happening in his brain or in his mind, I think I'm successful. And
Oh,
thank you, Avilash and Ritunjay, for giving me this opportunity because, you know, uh, as at the beginning you said about your like family of 80 people. Nowadays in social media, the numbers seems to be very less. Now just think you're talking in front of 80 people.
Hmm.
I have that perspective. Okay. So just think that 80 people are there in front of you in a seminar hall, and it's
Hmm.
a huge number.
Yeah.
It's not
no,
very less number.
no.
And
Thanks.
that is why I think you will rise and with both of you, and I'm really happy. And also, I wish the best for you guys. Do great, and you're doing really a great job. Otherwise, साइंटिस्ट के बारे में कोई पूछता भी नहीं है, कोई सुनता भी नहीं है.
No, thank you so much. It was amazing. As those who are till the end, please like, subscribe, and share. And also, we'll have all the details, and we'll share on WhatsApp. We'll share on Facebook. We also write a post about you on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and we'll share our YouTube to
Thank you.
everyone. And do share, follow Nilutpal and his Facebook. He has around 21,000 followers on Facebook, so he's a known guy. So please talk to him, and let's meet you in next episode. Thank you.